Good afternoon, and welcome to We Believe Digital Newsbreak. We're really glad you're joining us today, broadcasting live from a little bit overcast, just under 90 degrees, downtown Jackson, Mississippi, the heart of the Deep South. And we got some stories to share with you today from our studio here, and we hope that you see something you like on this program, and from this studio we have advertising opportunities available, live show opportunities, pre-recorded show opportunities for you, for your organization. Just give us a call, 601-863-9877. 601-863-9877. My name is Chris Young, and I'm joined by the one and only Socrates Garrett. How are you, Mr. Garrett?
I'm doing well, Chris. Good to be back in the studio with you.
Yes, it's been a while. I had to take a short leave of absence. That 2-year-old grandson of mine, he just really needed a visit, so I had to go out of town and pay him a visit.
Where did you go?
Up to Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Yeah, that's where my daughter's at, and that little guy is something else. So I taught him how to give high fives.
Okay.
So yeah, he's down with that now.
What's his name?
His name is August.
August.
Yeah, that's her birth month. She was born in August, and she named the baby August, and there's some other things that come into that, but I really like August Gabriel. That's his name.
Good name.
Cool little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's a wonderful mom, and he's got a wonderful dad too. So it was a joy to go up there and spend a little time and with everybody. Yeah.
Did you get to see your brother?
No. 2 brothers, one in Colorado, the other one in California. So the one in California says he's going to pay me a visit here in Jackson one of these days. So we'll see him sooner or later.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we got about 8 different topics on the list today, but I thought I'd start out on a national level and then work our way down to the meat and potatoes here in Jackson. I was reading this morning. We have something like this going on locally too in the Ridgeland with the Ridgeland Library. Apparently, there's parents out there that are very concerned all of a sudden about books that their kids are able to get in the library. So the story I looked at this morning, there were 40 books. I'm really going to need your help on this one. 40 books pulled from the Keller Independent School District just outside of Fort Worth. And do you know on that list includes a graphic novel adaptation of Anne Frank's diary, and all versions of the Bible have been pulled from the shelves of this independent school district libraries outside of Fort Worth. And my mind went to Ridgeland, just 10, 15 miles from here, where they were parents concerned up there if there's any LGBTQ books or anything like that. They were gonna hold up funding for the library if they didn't get those books off the shelves. But to see this, Mr. Garrett, all versions of the Bible taken off the shelves.
Well, I mean, to what extent does that violate the First Amendment?
Great question. I don't know. It's just making national news that these people are doing this.
I thought in America you would be able to share your concepts and ideas and not be afraid of being attacked by the government.
It's amazing. Absolutely.
Now, I realize you can't go in a theater and shout fire or something like that.
Right,
but other than that, from
right.
all these talk shows I hear and see, they're saying whatever they want to say.
Very graphic sometimes.
They're very graphic.
Yeah.
And so what's wrong with the Bible?
Yeah, what's wrong with the Bible, and what's wrong with Anne Frank's historic account? Just 2 years she kept that, in total secret with her family. Kept that diary. The really, a preeminent insider source of what went on during the Holocaust.
Wow.
You know, and why would you not want to be able to, for people to be able to learn about that?
Well, for the same reason that you banned CRT, the critical race theory in Mississippi, for the same reason.
You know, what's the payoff on that? So let's say, so those people, what is their expected payoff if they limit the pieces of reality that have happened in our past, and they kind of push that out off the sides, off the edges, off the margins? What do they get out of it? What is their payoff for that?
It's a retention. The retention of status, the retention of wealth, it's the retention of supremacy. It is the retention of the things that Europeans have enjoyed for the most part for the entire time that America was founded. And so that's what you gain. You don't want anyone else to understand that they have value, to raise their self-esteem, and you want to keep those down in order that you may be up. Sad
commentary. So, you know, another thing that's really of interest because so many people are consuming, you know, their news, their music, their media in different ways over time. And I happen to notice this today. There's a report out today by National Public Radio, and they said that for the first time ever, for an entire month, now this happened to be the month of July, for the first time ever, they've had blips where this has happened before, but never for a period as long as a full month, that streaming viewership exceeded cable and broadcast viewership.
Yeah, I think it's clearly the way of the future. I don't think we'll ever return to being dedicated to a cable line or anything that ties you down to a given time or place.
Everything on demand.
Everything on demand, everything mobile.
Right.
You know,
right. Multi-devices.
This generation will not stand still or be dictated when they receive their news, their entertainment, whatever. They're totally different.
Well, here we are in a streaming studio, so I mean, and we know that we're not the only ones. There's studios all over the place of people putting out different types of content and so forth. Well, if we skip down a little bit to the from the national level to the state of Mississippi, it was announced the day before yesterday that the honors curriculum program at Alcorn was as being renamed for Merle Evers Williams. You know, she attended Alcorn for 1 year, and lo and behold, that's where she met her future husband, Medgar Evers, and they married in 1951.
1951. Of course, that was a little bit before my time, but I am a proud graduate of Alcorn State University, right. And I'm glad you got it pronounced right, Alcorn, even though it's got one L. I understand Virginians have a little trouble with that. But that is a wonderful place to get your career started, gain your education, network, meet new friends. And, you know, the college experience is something that, you know, you just can't replace it. You can't get it back. If you didn't get that one, Christopher, then you missed a lot, including probably who you were going to marry. And so a lot of people met their mates on college campuses. So you probably met yours in the Navy, huh?
I think I met mine at a drive-in movie theater, Mr. Garrett. But you know, it's another thing too, and I know it might sound a little old school, but you know, my dad always had this expression: "An education is a light load to carry," and I always remembered that.
Yeah. It's the preparation, it's the organizing of the mind to learn and do other things.
Yeah.
It's not that you come out of college with a skill set or with knowledge that's going to allow you to earn a living, but you come out with an organized mind that allows you to grasp concepts and ideas and then fit into programs that others have devised. And without that organization skills, then you won't be a very good employee.
Makes good sense. Makes good sense. You know, the next, let's see, we got time for one more, and then we'll go to break. But the next story that on my list today is back to the Capitol with this TANF. With this TANF. Imagine these people. They take this 70s. By some reports are in the 90 million range, but most reports appear to be in the 74 to 77 million dollar range. That people, it appears, elected officials, a former governor, Phil Bryant, it appears deeply involved, and the current Governor Reeves, also involved, and yet he's directing traffic on the investigation. So it's hard to grasp. But the day before yesterday, the Department of Human Services received approval from the State Personnel Board and the Attorney General to hire the law firm of Jones Walker. Now, Jones Walker's a large firm, 8 states plus D.C., 30 attorneys just in Jackson alone. And their task, starting today, they have a 1-year contract, or just under a 1-year contract from today till the end of July next year, to recoup what's believed to be $24 million in these state funds, and they're hired because the powers that be decided to not renew the contract of a former U.S. attorney by the name of Brad Pigott, I believe it's pronounced, and they thought he was seeking too much attention. But what really appeared to happen is, as soon as he sent a subpoena to the University of Mississippi Athletic Foundation, asking for information that include communications with the former Governor Bryant and the former Governor Bryant's wife, all of a sudden they didn't want Mr. Brad Pigott doing the investigating any longer.
Well, Brad's a legendary attorney here in Mississippi. He's done awful good work. I believe he's even been the Attorney General of the state of Mississippi or something like that. And I was surprised when he was fired. But Governor Reeves decided that he was not a good fit to represent MDHS. And so, he fired him on the spot, and Brad's now trying to figure out exactly what he did wrong. We think what he did wrong is that he started to subpoena and ask questions of the wrong people.
Right.
And when you do that, you feel the power of the establishment. I believe there was a gentleman that you met with some time ago by the name of the Honorable Reuben Anderson, who said that if you go against the establishment, you will probably lose.
That's right.
And so, shout out to Reuben. I haven't seen him in a long time. I hope he's still playing and enjoying a good sound round of golf. And I look forward to getting back out there with him. But when you take on the establishment and start to subpoena the foundation, the Athletic Foundation Board, and anything related to Governor Phil Bryant and Governor Tate Reeves, you're going to be met with stern opposition, and you're probably going to lose your contract.
I don't understand. Mr. Garrett, how someone that could well be implicated. There's already pieces of information implicating the current governor. And how is that person sitting on the back of the bus directing traffic on this investigation? I don't know how that,
It works that well, and it's worked that way for as long as I can recall. The judicial system is actually controlled by those that are in power. So Governor Reeves will not have anybody hired by a state agency that he doesn't believe will give him preferable treatment. And Chris, I'll remind you that the politicization of the Supreme Court of the United States of America finds itself in the same posture. So, judicial systems and controlled by governors and government is the way that it works in America. It's not what you know,
Who you know.
is who you know.
Well, Mr. Garrett, there's something about that. It just deeply bothers me that this safety net that was provided by the federal government, because some states won't act right, to serve the poorest among us, has been pilfered, turned into a slush fund by white people down here, and now they're turning it over to a white law firm, Jones Walker. Out of 30 attorneys in Jackson, Mississippi, Mr. Garrett, how can you have a staff only have one African American attorney? Out of 30 in Jackson, Mississippi, you got to work hard to do that.
It's got to be intentional.
It's got to be intentional. So I'm just going to report too that I sent a direct message, a little while back to the Attorney General of the United States and asked for federal intervention into this TANF scandal, because you got the wrong people driving the bus here, and it's not fair and it's not equitable. And I think when you're talking about a minimum of $74 million of taxpayer money, that warrants, that's been stolen, that warrants federal intervention. So we'll see if the U.S. Attorney General will take this up.
Well, I believe you're the second one to do that.
Okay.
I understood that Congressman Thompson
Wonderful.
had also requested that the Department of Justice look into the scandal surrounding MDHS, specifically because those are federal funds.
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, we've run up against the break. Again, our call-in number is 601-863-9877, and we'll just hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with you shortly.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippilink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Let's read and learn together. Meet Mason. Written by Sherry Tate, illustrated by David. Mason is a young, inspired learner. Walk with him as he uses his 5 senses to explore the world around him. Your young one can learn to identify shapes, numbers, letters, and more with Meet Mason. Available now on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, and thanks for taking a look at our sponsors. We're going to jump back in, and did want to let the viewers know that on tomorrow, even though there's a bit of a chance for rain in the afternoon, the Mississippi Book Festival returns in person, and that's going to be on the lawn at the Capitol from 9 to 5 tomorrow. 46 different authors will be intended to be panelists, and over 170 plus authors doing book signings. And so opportunity to learn a lot, and probably a lot of freebies and handouts, some educational material and so forth over there. So maybe you can get a chance to cut away 9 to 5 tomorrow at the Capitol lawn. Ms. Garrett, you know we can hardly talk on this show too long before we run into the trash contract and run into the water. And next week both parties go before a federal magistrate to see if a settlement can be reached on the trash contract. So here we are, the 19th day of the month of August. Another 10 days, and Mr. Richards will have been picking up trash in our fair city for 5 full months without 1 penny of compensation. The council stands on their the council stands on their position that the formal contract was not awarded, so therefore it'd be against the Mississippi Code for them to. It's hard to keep a straight face, but it'd be hard for them to pay Mr. Richards. But I think we all know there's a whole lot more to it than that.
Yeah, I think that it's a shame and a sham what the council is doing. It's just very, very disappointing. We are in a city that is 85% African American, and we fought extremely hard to put African Americans in positions of power where they could control the budgets and have the opportunity to redirect funds back into the community that sent them. And in Jackson, Mississippi, our African American council, majority council, we have 7 members, 5 of which are African American. Our 5 African American members, not all of them, but enough of them, have chosen a white conservative Republican as the president of the city council in Jackson. That's tantamount to employing the Klan to head the organization that is designed to redirect the revenues back into the community which it came from. And when you do that, you'll find that over 70% of the dollars from the 1% sales tax commission is being spent in a neighborhood, in a ward that is predominantly white. And so it's very disappointing is what we're seeing going on in this city, in this council. Chris, and just let me say that it just sends signals to young African American men and women that they have a glass ceiling, that they can't rise to a level of being a major part of the solutions and sharing the revenue and try to shorten the wealth gap between the whites and blacks in our city, that it sends signals to them that they ought to stay in their place and not try and get back, because it's not going to happen for you.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. So next week, I believe it's the 28th, but we'll be bringing that to you as soon as we learn anything about it. The last story I wanted to speak about, Mr. Garrett, is the water. And, you know, we've got a long history in Jackson of having water troubles. It just didn't start, you know, last year after that big storm. It's been going on for decades, intermittent problems with the water. And you know, the mayor is insisting that he's got a plan to address the water crisis. Not everybody's buying that. You got the governor, which, you know, my impression is that he's really not for Jackson. He's really, you know, I'm not certain if he cares one way or another. As hard as it would be to believe, I'm not certain he cares one way or another if Jackson succeeds or fails. And you know, he's saying that Jackson doesn't spend its money the way it should spend its money. But he never gives any details. He just makes blanket statements like that. You know, and Benny Thompson has said that, you know, we can't just say we need help. We need to specify, you know, how can you help us? Be specific, be a bit more specific. I think that's being heard. And most recently, local business owners, real estate people, and the Mississippi Department of Education are just piling on the situation. And so we got to find a way to get some relief here.
Well, you know, from the beginning of time, it's always been he who controls the water controls the growth of the civilization. And so we take that all the way back to the banks of the Nile River. The mayor has indicated that the state has been disingenuous with him, and that the state issued a boil water notice to the citizens of Jackson without consulting with the mayor. Now, that's unheard of. And then we have some city council people, primarily Kenny Stokes, that has advocated that the state ought to take over the water, management of the water inside of Jackson, Mississippi. And what Kenny doesn't realize, and I don't know why he doesn't realize it, but when you invite the state into your backyard and you ask them to take over one segment of your city, they'll take over the entire city. And when a state takes over a city, it does what it did in Detroit, Michigan. It sets aside all of the existing government.
Mm-hmm.
It removes all of the existing elected officials. And it puts in whoever it wants to run that city. And it will be ran by the governor and his appointee.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if our elected officials keep asking the state to come in, that's what they're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to ask for a situation where they're going to move them out of the offices that they are elected to and be replaced by a representative of the governor.
Right.
So, yeah, we need water, and we need good, clean water, and we need to increase the talent pool in our cities where we can manage the water properly, but we do not need state takeover.
Mm-hmm.
We can't afford that. Jackson has already lost his client for the wastewater treatment plant. It's under tremendous pressure for the states trying to take the airport away from them. Now we have a Capitol Police Department that's larger than the existing police department in the city ran by the state. And now if they take over the water, Chris, we might as well, last person out, cut off the light.
Right. Yeah, it's a sad commentary. We'll try to keep you informed on that as best we can as we move forward. And we're running up against a little bit of a break here with another show planned to start in just 5 minutes or so. So we're going to call it a day with the Newsbreak show. We thank you so much for your support, and we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 1:30 in the afternoon, next Tuesday for Newsbreak. Have a great weekend and stay safe out there.
Let's read and learn together. Meet Mason. Written by Sherry Tate. Illustrated by David. Mason is a young, inspired learner. Walk with him as he uses his 5 senses to explore the world around him. Your young one can learn to identify shapes, numbers, letters, and more with Meet Mason. Available now on Amazon.com.